It is coming down. That is the best kind of skiing there is. No question about it. Put some normal shoes on before going out there. Look at the height of some of these trees. I mean, that must be 200 feet tall. That's unreal. I guess that's why they call them giant sequoias. It's still, even though I've spent so many years in giant tree groves, there's something about massive trees that is just so fascinating to look at. Look at that monster sequoia over there. Alright, I'm gonna walk up to it because that is just fascinating. That's by far the biggest one I've seen so far on this trail. Look at that. That's just unbelievable. That's ginormous. It's like impossible to even describe how big this is. Like, look at me hug this tree. That guy over there is on another level. Let's see if we can get over there and check that out. That thing is huge. They just keep getting bigger. Look around. Is this paradise or what? The biggest trees I've ever seen, fresh snow coming down, a beautiful little stream. It's remarkable. Oh wow, it's coming down hard. I genuinely feel like I could stay here literally forever. It's just so magical. It's so quiet. There's nobody here, only my footprints on the ground. The snow's not too bad yet. The only problem is it's gonna get dark in like maybe 25 minutes, and I'm not that close to the car, so I really have no choice here. I barely made it back. And into the booties. These really are fantastic. Alright. It is really nice to see my van all cleaned out after the giant mess it was, and after I had to go fix everything. It took me like probably 10 hours to replace the entire plumbing system because that all froze in that last video, and it didn't just freeze, it destroyed the pump. And then I had to remake the whole backsplash because I also had to access some things but behind there. I'm also realizing now that I still have some exposed screws and I'd have to paint over that. I'll do that in a second. But that just led to so much mess, and now that it's all cleaned out, it's much more comfortable to come into, a lot more welcoming. And, you know, it's just nice to do some home improvement. Normally I'd have to get there from outside, but I have a bag down here, that DoorDash bag, that I know has a small test sample of the paint color I used for the van. Pop this open. Get some snowflakes in here. Alright, I know somewhere in here there's a paint sample. Alright, there we go. See if this is still... See, that's what I was worried about. But I guess if I don't have paint, I can put some caulk on there if I have some, or if not, you know, it's not that big a deal. I just care about these little aesthetic details, as you know. I did also realize something, and that's that the end of this road is a big roundabout, a big parking area, but if I remember correctly, they don't prioritize that for plowing at all. So I'm going to want to face that way so I can leave up the road, because doing a U-turn is going to be very hard. Here we go. Look at how high the snowbank is. Probably one of the comments I've received the most when I do these snow camping videos is people saying, why don't you face the other way so that you can just pull out straight? And I mean, it's a pretty simple answer. It's against the rules in snow parks. There's a few reasons I can think of. Mostly, it's just easier to see the back than the front of a car for plowing, especially since it's almost all trucks and vans that park out here. They probably also operate these in a lot of states that don't have front license plates, and since there is a permit required, that way it's just easy to drive past and see the license plate. As for chains, as usual, that is tomorrow's problem. I just forgot again. Well, hey, now that I have a functional sink, I can actually do these dishes. It was a good excuse while it lasted, but I'm gonna need them to make the actual second half of the fish from last week. It's just been sitting in the freezer, so I still, I guess, have some fresh caught fish from Wyoming, even though I'm in California now. There we go. Look at that. It has not looked like that in a while. Being that clean. When your water system doesn't work, it is quite frustrating, and there's really not much you can do until you replace the whole thing. But now, inside everything works just fine. On-demand water, like it's meant to be. Hear the pump turn on. And as far as I can tell, there have not been any leaks yet. So we're doing good, we're doing good. Alright, dinner time. So like I was saying a second ago, I still have half of that lake trout in the freezer from Wyoming. So I'll probably cook that up with some potatoes. I know I still have some of those. I'll put this away so I can make some breakfast tacos for breakfast too. But this will be pretty simple. It's really amazing how much that looks like a piece of salmon. It's gotten almost pinker as it's been thawing. It's crazy coming down so hard it almost sounds like sounds like rain when you're tilted on an angle. That kind of stuff happens. Alright, let me throw on this fish, and this is all that's left of that lake trout. But right in the middle there should be just fine. Drink of choice. Nice Gatorade. I don't drink alcohol or anything. I assume this is the situation. Most people probably would. But, I mean, there's no way that tastes as good as a yellow Gatorade anyways. I've got clean utensils again. Don't have to use anything plastic. Which, it's not like I want to do that. It's just sometimes I literally don't have anything clean. Oh. It's a good home fry. Very hot. Try a piece of this fish. See if it tastes as good after being frozen for a while. I mean, I think it tastes better. I know that, like, fresh versus frozen, it's also the preparation maybe, but I don't know, I just like things that have sat for a while. especially in a freezer. I don't know, there's something about it. It brings out the flavor. Because lake trout, and I mean this, it really looks like salmon. It's unbelievable. It doesn't taste like salmon. It tastes like lake trout. But very fresh lake trout almost doesn't taste like anything. I mean, it tastes like salt that you put on it or whatever seasoning. Here I can definitely taste the trout much more. It really is one of my favorite fish. Definitely my favorite freshwater fish. Has some snacks. The major 5G antenna on the mountain must be totally covered in snow now because got nothing coming through my booster, so it just stopped at one point. It got worse and worse and worse and then hit rock bottom. So to me that means time to go to bed because I can't be entertained. What do you guys think? It's February now. Is it time to take down my poor little Christmas tree? I think maybe so. Those are not my ideal sleeping colors. There we go. The heat set to something reasonable. With like 12 inches or less, so we'll end up having to see. Here it predicted about 2.5 feet is what it said for right here. But the fronts come in so fast like this where almost all the snow falls in 6 or 7 hours that there's really no way to know. So am I going to be shoveling for hours again, or am I just going to be able to dig enough to put those chains on and drive out? We'll find out. To me, there's no better way to experience nature than when it's under a blanket of snow, because it all gets quieter, it all gets a little slower, and I don't know, to me it makes the world feel a little bigger. With the amount I travel, it's easy to make the world feel pretty small. Well, hopefully we get nice and snowed in. We'll find out bright and early, probably before sunrise when I wake up, just to make sure that everything's okay, because if I were to wake up naturally and let another, possibly foot of snow fall, you never really know, so I like to check in throughout the night. So I'll see you guys then. Good night. The wind was unreal last night. I mean, we're talking van shaking. You can feel all the snow fall off the van over and over and over again. This is for sure one of those storms that comes with, 60, 70, 80 mile per hour winds. And even though it can dump several feet of precipitation, you find it in certain pockets. It's a storm where the snow blows completely sideways. Let's see what that means in terms of getting out of here and heading down the mountain. Yeah, that wind is no joke. Oh my gosh. Oh, luckily it kept most of it off the van. It's amazing how many different types of storms there are. You get some where the wind blows sideways, it almost goes up like this one. You get some where it's peaceful, but you can get big dumps. You can just see even the clouds are just moving at such a fast pace. I do think at the back of the van here, I might be able to kind of back up and go forward and be able to get out without putting chains on, as long as I just really push on through. I guess we can give it a shot. A lot of people keep asking about why my shovel's so small. It's because this is also my avalanche shovel, my backpacking shovel. I don't need to take up extra space with another shovel. It's really not that big a deal. And space is limited. It's not like the van is big, and I live in it full time. So everything I ever use is in there. So I'm not gonna waste a bunch of space with a big shovel. The other thing too is that most large shovels, like driveway shovels, are they're plastic, and they're really kind of flimsy unless you get a very heavy duty big metal like gravel loading shovel, and that means it will be useless in a lot of some of this very hard snow or for any other projects. But I mean, like, look at this, like that's not some light fluffy stuff, not in a storm like this. Yeah, snow brush would never get off this wind blown heavy. I mean, most of this is ice. Well, as usual, thank you guys again so much for watching this little adventure here. You know exactly where I'm headed, and that's right to the ski resort. Got my icon pass ready in here, and I'm gonna be probably the first person to hit these trails. I thought this was a lot of fun. Some cool stuff up here with those giant sequoias and those beautiful mountains. Definitely a spot I'm gonna keep returning to whenever there's these big snowstorms, because there really is no more peaceful and accessible place than right here in the Central Sierras in California. So if you like this kind of stuff, like this kind of video, please subscribe to the channel. I post this kind of thing all the time. Every single major snowstorm, you know exactly where I'm going to be. So don't hesitate to comment and like this video. I'll see you next week.